Hey, Chris.
Hey Nick, how's it
How's it
going?
going? Oh, you first.
Uh, this is normal, just dealing with Sebastian's health. He's declining and having a bunch of medical issues,
Hmm.
and just trying to manage that. That's it.
Yeah. Well, real
How are you?
quickly,
Yeah,
um, yeah, I'm doing I'm doing fine. Um,
good. Glad to hear it.
yeah. Let's see, Uh, so I understand that when is Sebastian's birthday?
July 18th.
July 18th. Oh my God, no way it's been all that long. Holy whoa. Um, I think I joined you guys that day. And the caregiver um just kind of asked me some questions. I'm like, and you went into the back room. I'm like, well, wait, what's going on? And I didn't find out until later that night when I decided to look at Facebook. I'm like, oh, he's having a birthday.
Mm,
Oh, yeah. So I didn't know about his birthday until later that night. So um
all right.
that's why I sent you $100 when I did, because I wasn't aware that I wasn't aware of that. Um, so
Okay.
second thing that's
Well,
been going on with me uh is that I'm probably gonna get SSDI here pretty soon because I got some things in the mail and I filled out some stuff and now they're just kind of processing. It's gonna take many months.
mm,
And yeah, so there's a bit of an incident that I had with and unfortunately, I mean, nothing. It just kind of is something that I discovered completely on my own. Um, one of the stupid specialists didn't go over my radiology results. Yeah, clever, huh? So basically, I was digging through uh UC Health records, and I finally found. I'm like, oh, there it is. That was the record I was looking for. And yeah, it showed off a bunch of stuff. Like I have a 13-degree level scoliotic in my neck, 26-degree scoliotic curvature in my back or my upper back, and I have coronial imbalance, which is a bitch to treat even surgically. So um basically, and the thing is, and then there was like kyphosis, but he didn't bother to tell me. He just was like, "Oh, your kid is for whatever reason, your kid went from a grade 1 CP to a grade 2 CP, and we don't know why." And then, you know, it's like, and like, "Oh, his spine is absolutely fine." Really now, really now, because and the coronial imbalance was at like 7 inches, which is quite serious. So, I mean, that was just one more backstab I had to endure, and I'm not very happy about it. I don't know what to do about it because I don't want to go back to the guy who literally he encouraged me to come back, but I'm like, yet no, not doing that. Um,
okay.
hey, and yeah, so basically I switched doctors twice because the first doctor was a long distance away. He was 25 minutes away. I was like, okay, well, I need someone closer. I finally got into the facility that I wanted to get into. It's like 10 minutes away. So, um, it's really about it.
Okay.
And
Well,
then, oh yeah,
I
and
got.
then,
I
sorry.
what? Okay. First of all, I'm glad that you are dissecting your medical journey, and I'm glad that you're not taking the easy road, and I am applauding you, and I'm glad you're here today. But I need to kind of do some housekeeping for this platform, and I'll open it back up for discussion in a few seconds. Is that okay with you, Mr. Nick?
That is fine.
Okay, stay put. You're fine. Hey, Steve, how are you?
Hey, Chris. Good to see you.
Yeah, hello.
Nice to
Nick,
see
good to
you
meet you.
there. Right on.
Well,
Thanks for joining us. We'll let a few other people straggle in here when we get going here. Uh, just Steve and Nick do not know each other. Basically, Steve is from my other support group from Angel AIDS. Nick is from Project Sebastian's support group. And we're going to
well,
basically try to have a meeting today. And it's going to be a topic-based orientation with a little bit of open discussion. And I'm going to lead us into here, but I'm going to wait for a few more people to come on because Megan, as you know, from Angel Aid, was telling me that there's like 4 or 5 people registered. So we're going to see if they just jump on. But in the meantime, how you doing, Steve? Looks like you're back in the hotel.
Yeah, well, I've actually moved back into our house, but Kimberly has some stuff to do today. We're really close. The backstory,
Right.
Nick, is that we had a mold incident
Yeah,
uh,
I know how mold
starting
is.
in July,
right.
and it took us about a month to figure out what was going on. One of the side benefits, per se, of having a kid with MCAS is that they're an early warning signal for any of this stuff. But it took us a while to figure it out, even after doing lots of testing and stuff like that. So remediation happened a couple of weeks ago, and it's just been kind of getting the house in a good enough shape to get the wife and kid back in. I'm back in, and so we're close, but I'm sure there's going to be an adjustment there too. So today I'm at the hotel. They've been at the residence in for the last 2 months, essentially. So it's been a time. The background on our kiddo is they had a cerebral spinal fluid leak. That was I was listening to your aggravation with doctors and maybe not being on top of things as you would hope. And we had a couple 2.5 years of that, of trying to figure out what was going on with them when they had their leak, first had their leak. And then there was another, 2 years of getting it treated. And then a lot of ups and downs. In January, they were at Cedars-Sinai and got their procedure. So it's a lot of recovery, still a lot of work. And so this particular mold event was not great. Yeah. And the only upside is that the hotel has a pool, and the pool is a big part of how they're kind of doing a lot of their PT. So it's an expensive as fuck pool, but it's something. And yeah, so I think it's possible by the end of the week they could be back in the house. So we'll just have to see.
Good. I know how dangerous mold can be. It's I've watched one family, literally there was this girl who would get sick and she was eating and she was staying on the couch, but the place where she was sitting right behind her, right behind the couch, there was mold all along the wall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
And the
no
doctors were
bueno.
like, well, what's making her so sick? Why does she have this certain fungus? And it's like, oh, it's because they literally had to label it a sick house, and she had to move into a trailer, but her symptoms cleared up instantly after they moved into a trailer. So
Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah. No, I think our kid's name's Cosmo. So they just have a lot of rehab after basically being bedbound and enduring the pain and the struggle with a spinal fluid leak for 2 years, 3 years really. The bedbound part of it was about a 2-year stretch, and plus the Ehlers-Danlos, hypermobility, and MCAS that are in play as well. So it's a bit of a brew, but hopefully this chapter is drawing to a close and we're back in our house and able to like keep moving forward.
Right. That's great. So I thought I'd tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Nick. I'm 6'3". I live in Colorado with my sister and my brother's my sister-in-law's family / my brother's family. They're married. They have 2 kids. Their names are Savannah and Ryan. Ryan's the older. Savannah's younger by like 6 years. So yeah. I go to work on Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays. I work from it usually varies per day. So Wednesdays I work I work 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Thursdays are 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Fridays are 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturdays are 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's a 16-hour shift. Yeah, I enjoy things like reading books. I've gotten into that. This is a new one I just got. It's about this mathematician who figured this mystery of mass. His name's Peter Higgs. I also enjoy listening to music. I enjoy taking trips to like museums and things of that nature. Nature trips, we went to Bison Park, and I actually have photos of that really quickly. Let's see. I'll start here. So I don't know if you can see that because of the bright light. These are just some of the photos I took.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's a really beautiful one. That's the waterfall we went to. It's kind of a hiking trail. It's really nice.
Nice.
I like taking those kinds of trips. I also enjoy listening to podcasts. I enjoy spending time with my cousins and chatting with them. My cousin Christopher is now engaged to his wife, Michelle. So yeah, I have 2 cousins, Chris and Tyler. They're both, they live in their own, well, they actually they're living together, but what's happening is Chris is paying half the rent, or like over half the rent of the house, and Tyler is forced to pay the other half. And then his parents, it's usually, I think that's what causes fights, is because his parents have to give him money in order to support himself being there. He's wanting to move to California with his wife. What's her name? Anna, I think. Yeah. So yeah, I'm the only person in well, that's not true. I'm not the only person in the family who's doesn't have a girlfriend or a wife. So yeah, so that's a little bit about me. Oh, my disabilities, of course. Oh boy, so this has been kind of a rough thing for me. And unfortunately, I mean, I've seen over the last 9 months, or 10 now, actually, there's been a lot of misdiagnosis. I wasn't born right. I had like 2 holes in my heart. I had an undescended testicle. I had an eyeball that doesn't turn, as you can clearly see, doesn't turn right. I had a stroke that was misdiagnosed for 26 years. And it was accompanied by thrombocytopenia, and that's how we figured out I had a stroke. And a new MRI has revealed that I actually have this really rare condition that affects the white matter called porencephaly, P-O-R-E-N-cephaly. It's very rare, but it affects, like, it makes people like spastic and cerebral palsy, and it's not fun. It's really not fun. So there's that. And then about 2 years ago, I had an incident where I had a pinched nerve in my neck, causing me to have choking problems in my throat when I would swallow food. And it turns out that that is an outpouching of my larynx, and that's called a laryngocele. I've had 2 genetics tests. First one we did revealed that I'm a carrier for CEP290 on my mom's side. And then me and my dad have this ultra rare duplication. It's called chromosome 4p31.3 to 32.1 microduplication. And it carries some blood stuff, amyloidosis, and yeah, it's pretty nasty. So yeah, and I just, like a few days ago, I just discovered that, or a few weeks ago, I should say, I discovered that I had this report that was obviously hidden away from me because I don't know. I'm on my 5th primary, and you could guess why. My first one changed because of changes in insurance. The second one didn't give a crap about my problem. The third one gave a crap about my problem, but she wasn't around long enough to, diagnose something else. And there's just been a lot of mismatching. I don't know. From what I'm reading about the scoliosis, my cervicothoracic scoliosis, which is an uncommon form of that, it's caused by a few things like injury, degeneration. But then there's also this really rare genetic condition called Klippel-Fehl. It's tempting for me to say I don't have it, though I keep reading up on certain things that it can cause. And it's like, well, wait a minute, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's like, okay, did they miss something? So, I don't know, because I do have facial features consistent with the condition. It's like a hent spinal minor organ problem syndrome. It's not that common, but no. Anyways, the big thing today that I just kind of want to talk about is the dissolving of support groups. I am so I am frustrated to the ends of the earth that basically that all these support groups are dissolving, like Rare Connect, Global Genes. Like, what's the deal with that?
Yeah, I can't really speak to that. I think in general, it's hard for people to keep momentum up in their lives. Everybody's dealing with the stuff they're dealing with. And sometimes it's hard for people to stay consistent with everything that's going on. I know Chris has been at this support group game, I think, more longer and more level of engagement than I've been. I'm sort of recent to this particular world, but I just know in general, it's just hard to keep any group, whether it's a support group or a special interest group or anything. It takes a lot of work. And it's usually subject to the kind of 80-20 rule, where 80% of the people are doing, or 20% of the people are doing the work and contributing, and 80% are, not as engaged. So this is the second follow-on call we've had on this group since I met Chris in June at a in-person retreat. And so far, I'm still the only person who's shown up from that group, and we're super tight on WhatsApp, but even that's gotten a little bit thinner over the last few weeks. It's just the nature of these things. It takes effort and energy, and everybody's got a lot going on. So it's hard, but it's sort of kind of a fact of these things. I know, Chris, do you have a perspective on this? I know, Chris, it sounds like you might be fielding something else right now. So.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm dealing with a clustering of fucking seizures right now with Sebastian, and just trying to maintain his O2 sats, and I have doctors I'm trying to call doctors, but nobody's around. So
do you want to jump off and
no, I mean, he's fine, he's stable. But I do hear what you're saying. Steve has been really an amazing person that I met earlier this year, about just being really real and honest and just vulnerable, and you know, struggling with his children as well, and dealing with life, and uh, having issues with the home and all that crap, and still able to lend a hand and reach out,
Mhm.
which is great. Nick's been struggling since I've met him. He's really an amazing guy. He's just going through a lot of shit, and he's having to find his way and find his voice more so than anybody would ever have to ask. And so um, I know it's challenging, but the more he advocates for himself, the more he actually finds out, which is what I'm starting to realize, that doctors don't know a whole lot. And I think that they try to preserve their integrity through medicine and prescriptions, because they think that it's going to work, and it doesn't work for everybody. So I'm in a whole new thing right here. So the whole concept of today's talk is about surrender, and how a lot of us don't give in, a lot of us don't surrender. But I'm going to tell you guys and teach you a little trick about when we do surrender, we actually become stronger. And the thing for me, as well as anyone else in rare disease, whether you're suffering yourself or a parent of it, is really that of, if you are able to wave the white flag, you're able to fight another day. And it doesn't mean that you are weak. It just means that you need a break, and that you're going to have to let go and trust the process, or trust your God that it's going to be okay. And I'm not saying to fucking throw in the towel and leave your position. I'm just saying that you have to take stock, because this is going to be a battle that's going to continue for a very long time. And I think that a lot of us don't have the ability to surrender because we think we're going to lose something. If hold on a second, would you 1 second?
Yeah, I can pick up that thread, because I think there's a difference between surrendering and giving up. There's two different concepts. I think surrendering is more about accepting what's happening versus fighting what's happening. And Chris, I was just building on that, just saying that surrendering doesn't mean giving up.
Right. Right. It doesn't. It's probably one of the most powerful tools in my war chest. I use it a lot. I was sharing in a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous today, and I was taking a cake for 27 years. And I simply said, thank God I waved the white flag. Thank God I surrendered to these demons. It allowed me to become the man I am today, and to be present, to be aware of, to be self-aware, and able to extend the hand and to help others when necessary. But more importantly, it was the eye-opening thing came many years later, that I was able to support myself, to surrender to myself, to surrender to a lot of other fucking like horrible things that I just don't have any control over. I hear Steve's story, and I hear Nick's story, and I hear a lot of these other guys' stories. And it's really, we're frustrated because we don't have any control over the outcome, and that perpetuates this impending doom of fear. And we don't want to fucking go through fear. We don't want to deal with that shit, so we try to control it. And I can honestly tell you, the minute that I cease fighting everything and everyone, I feel a lot better, for sure.
Yeah, and you know what? Very quickly, I want to show everybody my scan from December. Do you see? So that's my brain. Do you see that black like hole? That's that's the cyst that I'm talking about. It doesn't look that big, but it affects my vision and some of my coordination stuff. So yeah, it's a thing. But no, so I've been in the mood lately where I just want to completely drop doctor help altogether, because mean, let's see, I've dropped physical therapy. And the note that they gave me was quite, quite conflicting. Let's see, let me go to my trash. Let me go to, where is Sammy? No, it's not it. It's not it. Megan, where's Megan Fairchild? Huh, weird. Okay, I guess
So, Steve, where are these fucking guys?
Our guys?
Yeah.
Well, Alan's, I think, still in India, so I think he's off the wrong time zone. I don't know where the other guys are. No. I didn't get the sense. Nobody actually piped up and said, "Hey, I'm going to be there too." So I wasn't. My expectations weren't high. I was hoping Andrew would come back. I WhatsApped with him once in between. So, but that's about it. So I get the sense that they're, yeah, if they don't actually say they're going to be there on WhatsApp, they're probably not going to be there.
Yeah. Well,
so Nick, I just wanted to respond or hear that, just acknowledge your struggle with doctors. It's really challenging because they get trained on horses and not zebras.
I know.
And so, and that's what we hit with our kiddo, was like everybody was had their own theory, and they're also very compartmentalized. So if they're a specialist in the brain, they're going to see it as a brain thing. If they're a specialist in the spine, they're going to see it as a spine thing. It's like, everything's when you have a particular hammer, everything's going to look like a particular nail.
I know.
But the reality is, it only takes one person who is a little bit outside the box to change the trajectory of everything.
Right.
And we've had two of those. We had, 2.5. We had a pain person who was like, okay, no, I think you should talk to this other guy, because what's going on here, I could shoot you up with shoot your kid up with painkillers and stuff like that, but I don't think that's what's going on here. Something else is happening. And this chiropractor had been seeing issues with and gotten interested in CSF leaks. And then that's where we actually start getting the right diagnosis. But that was like after regular doctor, after ER doctors, after neurologists, after functional neurology, after pain specialist. That's how far down the road it was. And it was 2.5 years later. But that changed the trajectory. It took us another 2 years to kind of get to a place where the main problem is fixed, but all the collateral damage is still an issue. But we also encountered one other person who has changed her trajectory, and that is the physical therapist. But she's not like a traditional physical therapist. She's very in tune with like MCAS and Ehlers-Danlos and actually comes to our place. And I don't think we would be in a good place if it wasn't for her. And she was actually referred by another physical therapist who was supposed to be very good, but was too far away. And so our kiddo would get wrecked. They would go get some help, feel some relief, and then get wrecked on a car ride home. So wouldn't make progress. So it's all to say, it's like, yes, absolutely. 90% of the medical field is going to be that isn't helpful. I call it helpful people that are extremely unhelpful.
I know.
Right? They have intent to help. Some of them are constrained by big box medicine, and what they're able to do and how much time they can spend with you, and where they can see you and where they can't see you. All I can say is it's just to keep looking and see if you can encounter that person, at least, that can point you in the right direction or give you something, and you know what the common denominator is, that they actually hear you and see you. Some of them hear you and see you and can't help, but the ones that hear you, and unless they do the hearing and seeing, they're not going to be able to help. So it's weird. It's a tough thing. when you're outside the box in this medical system. I think it's not just this medical system. I think any medical system in the world is geared towards, you know, basically turning hospital beds and appointments versus wellness and care.
Yeah. Well, I kind of want to give you a bit of a timeline as to my medical odyssey. So, I mean, I've always been kind of this abnormal kid. I grew, you know, I had some developmental stuff. We got it treated through a neuropsychologist. And then, you know, the neuropsychologist was like, well, none of these medications, like we put them on one thing, it doesn't work. And then we put them on another thing and that works for a time, but then it doesn't. He diagnosed me with an unspecified encephalopathy at the time, and developmental coordination disorder. And it's like, okay, well, that's a thing. But zoom ahead, I mean, past South Carolina, me finishing my high school and getting in and going into a year of college. And then we moved here and I decided to get a job after like a year of being here. And Goodwill wasn't all that great. They were far away. Tom had to drive me every day there to and from. And then after a month, I got fired due to medical concerns. And then I got a job at a care home for the longest time. It was like July of 18 through November of 21. Then we moved again. And I got a job at Come and Go. And now Come and Go is changing to Maverick here by the spring of next year or something like that. So when we moved here, like I said, I was complaining of a pinched nerve. And we discovered that that was a foraminal neural narrowing, which is when the spine basically crushes the, I have like bone spurs all along my neck. I have disc degeneration, and I have a spinal narrowing. So I saw a chiropractor for it, though not realizing that he would actually, I mean, both of us didn't realize what was going on. And, you know, he finally cured the pinched nerve, but boy, both my posture and my digestion had a major upset. And I'm still, I mean, I walk with my feet spread apart and my back is literally bent to the left. And the doctor, so there was a bit of a massive pause between, we had just gotten done seeing the first geneticist. This was like 2 or 3 months after the fact. And basically they had heard a heart murmur. And my new theory is that heart murmur was implying that there was something wrong up here. So that would explain the pinched nerve. I mean, yeah, so it was causing things like dizziness. The doctor at the time diagnosed it as POTS, but honestly, he hid results from me. He didn't care about my problem. So I saw another person, and this other person, Rachel Bott, bless her, she got me into a CT scan, a spine x-ray, all that stuff. They noticed some scoliosis and a porencephalaic cyst with like a little hemosiderin deposit and some other cystic stuff. We all have cyst. It's a very common thing. But no, so after that, you know, I started seeing like an ENT specialist. We did an echogram for she thought it was an enlarged lymph node, but then we did an echogram and that wasn't the case. They couldn't see anything. And then finally I got a MRI of the neck. They injected me with this thing and then they scan it. And then, yeah, it turned out to be a laryngocele. And then I saw a spine doc. Basically, this was all happening in May. I skipped from November 22 to December 22 with the porencephaly, and then May of 22 with the spinal findings and the laryngocele. Spine doc says, well, I don't know why your kid would go from a grade 1 to a grade 2. You know, but you know, we could inject him with Botox injections if his arm, because my arm is literally frozen like this. I woke up like this in March. And then finally in June, I saw one physical therapist, but she was unable to help me after a time. And then I think it was in September or August or September of last year that wait. Yeah. It was August, September. And the second physical therapist is like, oh, it's functional neurological disorder. It's like, no, because I've been doing their exercises for 15 months with no improvement. That's a very long time to be doing physical therapy. And then 2 months ago, I was like, you know what? Let's see if I can strengthen this. And I did strengthen it, but I can't gain any muscle for whatever reason. So, I mean, I'm eating well. I'm doing the best I can with everything I am doing. And, I've recently seen a gastro, everything, all the blood tests are coming back negative for like things like infection. There might be like a little bit of a dehydration thing going on with the kidneys, but beyond that, I mean, honestly, and I finally decided to do vitamin testing as a final Hail Mary, but after all that again was all negative. Yeah, I'm my next step, I mean, besides a endoscopy, because I'm taking omeprazole for a suspected esophagitis, is seeing a rheumatologist, because I know that they deal with the spine, they deal with the joints. I'm having a lot of sort of arthritic like problems, so I wonder if a rheumatologist would maybe be able not to figure out what's going on in the brain necessarily, but able to figure out the laryngeal and the relation to that with the spine, with the neck. And again, it's just been a really, really, really rough time. That's where I'm at currently. I'm a little hesitant to see my new doctor. I only established care with him with no blood work, no nothing. Because we're not finding the problem through blood, we're finding the problem through CT scans and X-rays and MRIs and stuff like that. It's so that would denote a physiological problem. And after dealing with physical therapy for the last like 10 visits, 15 months, I finally said, you know what? I'm done with this nonsense. You guys are, I didn't say this out loud, by the way. I said, you guys are or you gals, I should say, are for the most part terrible. The only one who wasn't terrible was Jessica. Megan, and especially, well, actually, you know what? Megan was meh. She was just okay. But Melissa Lindsay was absolutely terrible. It didn't feel like physical therapy. And I even said that to the lead therapist, to the lead coordinator. I'm like, listen, Lindsay, I feel like I'm being bullied. She's telling me, oh, put your hand down, put your hand down, put your hand down. And I'm like, this is just harassment. I am not one for harassment. Sorry. So I've dropped physical therapy. I'll get a call or a endoscopy done, but I don't know I don't know what else they're going to find. Yeah, it just seems like it just kind of seems like I've been struggling here, and well, it's the whole do nothing mentality, and I'm starting to wonder if, well, I've done it for a time, but I needed to find a new doctor. So that was the only reason I really have been active. But I mean, beyond that, really, I just haven't done much. And the gastro is like, well, if we can't find anything, we'll just diagnose you with IBS and let you be on your way. I mean, I feel better, though we're struggling to figure out. I might have been fighting some kind of horrific infection that nobody could identify, probably somewhere in the kidneys, but I'm not sure. So, I mean, we have all these doctors, but unfortunately, some of them are just really scummy, and I've had some good ones. My second geneticist, who, by the way, we did metabolic testing, like inborn error of metabolism. That too was all negative. So again, I'm starting to wonder if this is more of like a structural issue, like with the brain, with the throat, with the spine. And rather than say, because, doctors think, oh, we can find everything through blood and urine. No, that's not always the case. And I am a prime example of that. So, the findings on the scans are what I'm looking at. So I think so really I do truly think that my next step should be rheumatology, see what they can figure out. And I'm going to pressure my new doctor to be like, okay, here's the deal. For the last 2 years, I've been in a lot of pain, or rather, I've been going through a lot of stuff. Nobody knows why. We do blood work after blood work after blood work. Nothing comes back. Even when I am fatigued, have had urine problems, and have had, just, not the greatest looking stool in the world. So either we're dealing with something that could be rather structural, which would be my case, or which would be, that opinion. Do you think that a rheumatologist would be able to somewhat bridge what's going on here? Because quite frankly, I'm just kind of fed up. So it's, not with the brain stuff. I just want him to look at the spine and what's going on with the larynx. Beyond that, though, yeah, I can't think of any other doctors that would be of help to me. Because like I've said, I've ruled out a lot of things. We've ruled some stuff in, but my thing is, my neurologist has been keeping tabs up with me. He's like, well, I just want to diagnose FND. It's like, that is such a stinking scapegoat. I can't tell you how infuriating that is. And I think it's because of my high functioning. I really, really think it's because of my high functioning that a lot of these professionals want to diagnose an idiopathic disorder, which I know is wrong in the first place. Stupid. It's just so stupid. And FND, by the way, I don't know if you know this, functional neurological disorder affects, like, it's more common in the opposite sex than. So I'm, this is just basically the definition of harassment. And I even want to say doctoral bullying. It's ridiculous. I'm, the only other thing that my neurologist can do, because I've been through autoimmune testing, I've been through paraneoplastic testing, nothing's come back there. I did do an IG test. My IgN was a little off. Like, it was a little on the low side. I don't know why, but I've been through a lot of testing. And I think with blood, I think we need to give the blood draws a rest. I really do, both blood and urine. I think I think there's a more structural issue going on, and I just don't know what else to do. It's like, I've been told, like, oh, don't think about it, don't worry about it. It's like, but it's there, and it does cause problems. So,
Have you ever been to like a manual therapy or Reiki or people who kind of do more gentle manipulation, not like chiropractic, but who are generally more holistic about looking at the body and what's going on in the body? Have you ever encountered anybody like that in your journey?
I've been to 3 chiropractors. Yes, holy cow, in the last 8 years. Well, technically, I saw a guy in 2015, and he was all right, but there was more of a, once we left him, took a bit of a break, saw another guy. He wanted to berate me with medications.
Yeah.
And
I'm not talking
then,
about chiropractor where they're actually doing pops and snaps or anything like that. It's more about like subtle manual manipulation where, like, so I've had this person works with my kid, but I've also done some stuff with her. So she'll just put her hands on my head and kind of read, okay, somehow she'll be able to read what's going on in my body in terms of like, okay, what's structurally misaligned, what's where's fear and stress being held, all these interesting kind of things
Mhm.
that are
So like an
like
emotional tapper, right?
yeah, I don't even know if it's emotional. It's kind of like uh I don't know if you would call it energetic. What are they? I'm looking at their site to see what the language they call it. Subtle manual therapy, complementary neurorehabilitation, orthopedic and wellness physical therapy services. So it's not like your classic, oh, I want you to do 6 squats. Like they they don't necessarily do that, but they'll apply that in very specific ways. It's more about that subtle um, um, way of collaborating with the patient,
Mhm.
and yeah, I'm trying to find the language. So it might be Reiki, Reiki.
Hmm.
Um,
Well,
and
unfortunately, I'm not in California. I'm in Colorado. You know, the problem here, unfortunately, is that
Reiki's everywhere, though. I mean, what part of Colorado are you in?
I'm in God, I'm out here. I'm in Jefferson County. But I'm like I'm really out there. In fact, I'd almost
Oh,
call my
okay.
yeah. So um, you know, any long distance trips by like Uber and stuff would just kind of be expensive. I have to go all over the place for, you know, but no, personally for me, I'm
Mhm,
just taking a break. I'm taking
mhm,
I'm taking a mental break from all the doctors. I don't know when I'm gonna see my new one again. I don't even
mhm,
know if I should, to be honest with you, because, well, I'm going through a bit of a change. I'm going from SSI to SSDI,
mhm. Okay.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
DI is more important because I think with SSDI, I get more access to like I can change insurances. I can't, you know, being on Medicaid has been really 50-50. I've had some successes, but I've had a lot of failures, and I'm starting to wonder if I need to change my insurance but you know, that ain't going to happen for the next 6 months. So it's like, yeah, I'm a sitting duck basically. It's either do nothing like I have been, or see Kenny Ott for a rheumatology referral and wait until that referral is completed and then get a call from them. And because that's all that's all we can do. It's either, like I said, it's either do nothing or do that. And I'm debating if it would even be worth it to see one. Um, but you know,
Well, I just copied into the chat. I don't know any of these people. I did a Yelp a search for Reiki in Jefferson County, Colorado. Um, I can't vouch for any of these people. I don't know if they're good or not. I just wanted to see if there were any resources that might even be in your neck of the woods that you could, you know, talk to. Again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not somebody who can like dispense medical advice in a
uh-huh.
professional setting but I don't know, just from what you're saying, it sounds like you need people who are going to think a little differently about what you're dealing with than I don't know if they take Medicaid or whatever or what the payment uh but just
Closed.
just something to think about like
Hmm.
That's so
yeah,
funny you said that, Steve. I just got the call from the doctor on call at the ER room. She said the same thing. She goes, I'm not allowed to give you medical advice over the phone. I'm not his practitioner. I can't help you. But
mhm.
I would strongly urge you to trust your feelings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes they don't have it's amazing sometimes what they are and aren't allowed to do
I
in the
know. I
system.
mean, but if they're in front of you, they'll do whatever they want. But if it's like
Yeah.
over the phone, they no. So
If there's a paper trail or a digital trail, they have to watch their butts.
yeah.
And especially cross state stuff we've seen. Like
Yeah.
the only blessing of the pandemic is they really loosened up on that stuff, and all the best people to care for the CSF leak were in California. But the yeah, I remember there was a doctor at Stanford who called us ahead of the appointment. He said he said this. Um, there will be an instruction from our office that comes and says you will need to be in the state of California in order to have our consultation. And he said, I will be personally disappointed in you if you actually go to California to do that. But it was clearly off the record, so, and I think all that stuff's coming back. Now they're getting more strict about that stuff. So.
Well, I appreciate that resource for Mr. Nick, Steve, because I'm in that realm right now too. We are researching and investigating other different modalities of treatment to find relief for Sebastian's condition. So I have worked with Reiki practitioners before, massage therapists, different types of breath specialists. So while I don't know if it's providing any sense of, treatment, obviously not a cure, but it does provide a sense of, I think, relief in the sense that you're doing something, that you're trying, that you're not just throwing everything in the trash. And that's kind of like surrendering, you're surrendering to an old ideal and moving forward and allowing others to come in and give you some tips and tricks, as Padma says, are you willing to receive? And can you be willing to understand what to receive? And it's hard because, my perspective is that my own fear fights with my ego, because I'm a man and I'm a dad and I'm going to do it and you don't fucking know. But now it's like, fuck, I trusted these people to tell me. And I've had great conversations at length with Nick over the last year about his story, about the frustrations about it. So I understand, but
Some of this
appreciate
stuff,
you.
yeah. I mean, there is a surrender to this because some of this stuff is pretty woo-woo. But they tend to like try to listen to the body in a way that, your typical health care professionals don't. So I don't know, it's something different, and it's something that is probably, it's not even chiropractors. They're just really eager to get in to start moving shit around.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I think it's really challenging to navigate this stuff when you're a zebra, in a world that's built for horses.
Right.
Mhm.
I will say that I've been seeing talk therapy now for the last 10 months.
That's great.
Yeah, well, except here's my problem with not so much. So I have two places I go to. I have Summer Reap, who's great. Then I have the Collaborative Care Clinic. They're newer. I've only seen them maybe like 2 or 3 times. I have my qualms with the Collaborative Care Clinic because, quite frankly, it just seems like I would rather, I think they have problems giving advice, whereas Summer Reap, she's actually pretty good with that. Giving advice with how to deal with other people within the family.
That could be a
And
difference in therapeutic approaches too. Some therapists are very much like, I'm not here to give you advice. I'm here to like guide you to where you need to be, or so you can find your own way. And some are like, no, just fucking do this.
yeah.
So,
That's kind of been my frustration. I don't know. I think I'm going to drop Collaborative Care Clinic as well. They haven't been all that they're just not all that they're just mid. I don't they're not the greatest place that I've ever been to. But my personal talk therapist, Summer Reap, she's been great, but 10 months of doing this, and again, I mean, I haven't changed. I mean, I felt whatever ran its course, it lasted 18 months, whatever it was, really messed me up. I mean, I had to fight every day just to go to work. But eventually things started getting better, and I was able to fully get over whatever I was getting over. Probably some kind of like fungal infection, because I know that those are extremely common. Fungal infections, things like histoplasmosis have a tendency to, every test can come back negative, but like literally every test, pathology, blood work, urine work, structural, or there can be a structural finding, but it's like, well, we don't know what this means. So, funguses have a really, for whatever reason, and I don't know why this is, even for as long as medicine has been around, I'm amazed that certain infections, like that certain infections like fungal infections don't have a standardized testing. They don't have a standardized format of testing. It's 2023, people, and we're going into 2024. Wake up, start getting these people with all these funguses, that they've got out of their systems, and you'll be amazed as to the sudden improvement. Like, there are antifungal medications, but there's no standard way of testing a fungus. It's the most infuriating thing about the medical system that I have come to know. So, that's just it.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. The medical system is, on some levels, we know a lot, and we can fix bones and
2 steps
replace valves
forward,
and-
1 step back.
But the subtle stuff, I mean, it's still an ongoing battle.
Well, coming to the end of the hour, gents.
Yeah.
Nick, I'm glad you resurfaced. I was worried about you. It wasn't that I was ignoring you, but life is full time at
I know.
times. So,
Yeah, we didn't get to hear from you,
Hmm?
Chris. We didn't get to hear from you too much.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
let's see. One of the kids that I know died from Batten disease, CLN8, that I know very well. And having a
Sorry to hear.
conversation with the parents is very challenging because it's very close. And listening to him describe Brock's end of life is very similar to where Sebastian is right now. So I'm very scared. And trying to figure out how to get him stable again after taking him off all these meds, which basically invited him into the fucking den of Batten disease. And I got to see, I'm seeing the ferociousness of this fucked up disease take my kid. Trying to get him into a seizure coverage so that his fucking diaphragm doesn't collapse from the seizing. So we're in this fucking end of like the week. He just got out of the hospital Monday, and he's had this cluster started last night. And so we're just kind of hanging out, kind of waiting. He's stable, his breathing is good, his O2 is high, his heart rate is normal, his organs are not failing. And of course, I'm a doctor at home. Yeah. And basically, it's just been really challenging. I did somewhat turn the page with my ex-wife. I was able to come up with a plan that, of course, she came up with. And I just said, okay, to where she's going to be more involved, not only financially, but physically, which I could give 2 shits about the money. As much as it helps, it was more about her being present for Sebastian. And so it's
That's
starting
good to hear.
Yeah, it's starting to turn around for her and I. It definitely helps my kids. And I know it's happening because she's in town now. So she's never been in town twice and going back and forth to Texas. So I know she's trying, but she's still the typical, I need to go party first and play with my friends before I see my kids shit. So I'm just trying to surrender, just letting that shit go because that's who she is. But
I'm not going to change it.
no, but Jessica got a job back into the school where she is a special educational aide and a yard duty supervisor, and she's never been happier. And it's neat to see her, have such great joy and value over the something simple as a paycheck. But I see it every day here, and I'm just glad that she's doing what she loves to do again. Pretty much, I'm sober, which is a fucking miracle, considering.
It is totally considering what you've been dealing with,
Yeah,
what you deal with all the time.
Yeah, and looking forward to the future. I was, I thought I was going to be on this platform, but I don't think I'm going to stay. I don't really like it. I want more control. I'm happy to be here.
The Raregivers platform.
Yeah, I like it, but I want to do more, and I don't know if that's going to be something that we can do together. I like all the formats, and I hear what you're saying. The reason why I'm changing my tune, Nick, is because I'm watching the same thing that you're watching. A lot of these public support forums are just collapsing.
I think Rare Connect has been the hardest hit. I think we're all going to really miss Rare Connect. Rare Connect has been around since 2009. So it's like, to see that go, it's like,
yeah,
it's like a slap in the face.
I mean, Rare Connect, Global Genes. There's another outfit out in Europe that's just, and people are claiming that there's not enough interaction and it costs too much to host. But then again, people are complaining that there's nothing there. So I was the byproduct of hospital cuts. That's why we lost our room. So I don't know. I as much as I want to continue the path here, I think there needs to be more of a I don't know, more like involvement of all, men, women, children, caregivers, and patients, and like what I was doing with Project Sebastian. So, but I guess more will be revealed, and I'm just happy to see two of the guys here that I know. So it's nice that you joined us today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. I just wanted to quickly say that I reached out to Nord and they gave me some recommendations, but none of those recommendations were really fit my timetable in terms of my job. So unfortunately, what I've had to do, they're like, oh, is there any other place I can chat like in an open format like Rare Connect? But then they're like, oh, just go to our Facebook page. I'm like, I don't want to do Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't want to, so, it just sucks.
Jesus. All right.
Gotta wrap it up.
Fucking dog. Sorry.
That's okay.
That's all right.
I got a bunch. I got a fucking yapper, and then on the other fucking side of the fence, I got another yapper.
Oh God.
Oh, great. That's fun.
Yeah.
I know how that is.
Sorry. I need sleep. Hey, fuckstick, are you done? Go away. Go in there. I don't want to hear you for another 20 minutes. Thank you. You can sit right there. Good. Down. Thank you.
All right, yes. Chris. Well, you're amazing, man. I just having only had stretches of a week or so as a solo caregiver, I'm just so amazed that you've been able to hold things together.
I appreciate it. I just don't know any other way. And I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. We're going to, honestly, my mental disposition is we're going to go as long as Sebastian wants to go through life. And if he wants to check out, then I have to let him go.
Yeah.
That's got to be hard for any parent.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not really, again, surrender. It's not up to me. It's up to God. He's got the plan. I don't. I'm just, I guess, the stewardship of his design.
Yeah.
And that's
man.
hard because I don't want to see him go yet. Because I
No.
told him last night, we're not done. We got a lot of shit to do, bro. Got a lot of stuff to accomplish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in terms of, I know you said you wanted to do more with this platform. I know we're kind of running a bit over time, but my final thing is doing this twice every second week of the month, or every second week of every month. That kind of creates a bit of a period of time where things just kind of come up, and it's like everybody else has got stuff going on, but then it's like, oh, 3 weeks later, finally, or even no, not 3 weeks, a month later, it's like, oh, we will all reconvene again. It's like, wow, that's pretty infrequent. I wish it were weekly, but
I understand. I understand. My goal is to bring weekly platforms as much as I can. So in the interim, this is what we have. I mean,
Yeah.
I could go back and just have a separate meeting and do a Zoom call like we're doing again. Right now, I have no problem doing that because it works before. The idea is to continue to connect with men and women on different platforms. But for this one, Angel Aid would like to kind of like start to delve into the male side of the caregiving aspect. And I told her I would take on that role. So I'm following her lead, and she is very good at what she does. And she understands that there's a process. And so we all have to be patient. In the meantime, you can always FaceTime me or set up a Zoom call with me anytime if you both need to vent. I'm happy to be here. We don't have to be pigeonholed to anything. We can fucking hang out whenever we want with whoever we want. So sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's
So-
really it. I mean, things are going to be quiet on my end, really, for the next
Okay.
probably heading into the holidays. I know that holidays are really hectic. I mean, you have Halloween at the end of this month. You have you have Thanksgiving on the third week of November, and then we have Christmas, coming right up. So I don't know if I'm going to be doing a whole lot. Might finally start playing some games again. I don't do that very often. I really don't. But I did want to show you. I got a really kick butt PC. It's a $3,000 monster rig. It's got a RX 7900 XTX in it, and it's got a 64 gigs of VRAM, 64 gigs of DDR5, 4800 megahertz RAM. It's got a Intel 13700 KF. It's a beast build, man. I hope this PC lasts me. So here's the thing. So the story with the GPU. So I had a RTX 3070 in here, which was from the previous generation. Then that was from a different company. But we were like, okay, you're gonna get this $1,000 bonus as being part of Come and Go. How do we spend it? It's like, ooh. My brother's like, you can get a top of the line AMD card. I'm like, heck yeah, let's do it. And we got me not only did we get me an RX 7900 XTX, but we got me 2 additional 16 gigabyte RAM sticks. So I now have a
32.
basically future-proofed PC for like the next 8 years. So
Nice.
it's going to be my
Okay.
workhorse.
All right. I love it. I love the fact that you actually did something nice for yourself. That's good.
Yeah.
But I hope you don't go silent during the holidays. I hope you check in with me as always, Nick. And I also wanted to tell you that we are celebrating all the holidays. I just put our flyer up there in the chat. That's what we're doing here. Of course, it's in Santa Clarita. I know you guys can't come, but that's what we're doing. It's pretty cool. This guy just donated his house just to do a fundraiser for us. So it's pretty cool. And we just did a television ad for it. And then I'm going to do a couple of radio spots the week of Halloween. So we're going to fucking just keep having fun. That's my motto, man. Have fun
Yeah.
until we can't anymore. So,
Yeah. So
all right.
I think I'll
So,
I think I'll be on here maybe one more time before the new year, but then once New Year hits, there's a possibility I might be a little busy. So who knows with,
Well, then we'll have to wait and see in Nick's fucking life, man. It's better than
yeah.
Bravo.
Yeah.
All right, man. I love you guys. I'm gonna sign off there, okay?
All righty.
I just
Talk to you
donated
later.
to the spectacular. So
No,
Just-
Steve, no, I didn't want you to donate. I want you to come. Fucking, I'm gonna send that money back.
Just-
I don't want your money.
you,
Jesus
I
Christ.
can't. You can't have my presents, but you're gonna have to take my money.
Jesus Christ. Do just okay. I'm
Take it.
supposed to say thank you. Jesus.
Yes. Just say thank you. There's no way I'm making it down to Valencia.
All right. Well, maybe one day you
This
might.
month, because Kimberly's going to be away that time, so I got to be here.
All
So-
right. Well,
so-
we're gonna do another one, so I'll let you know about that one too.
Okay, sounds good.
All
All right, bye guys.
All right, bye.
See you all later. Peace out.